Yeah, it says
Hey,
live
Dave.
now.
We are live. Welcome to Canucks
Hey,
with
everybody.
Guitars. We may have my partner in crime jump in at some point. We don't know. Everyone knows Richie on Sundays. You know, he can just randomly appear. And in the house,
Or not, as the case
yeah,
may
or
be.
not.
Yes.
In the house today, we have Mr. Simon Williams reporting in from the UK. I want to say the Bristol area. Is that correct?
Indeed, yes. I live about 15 miles south of Bristol, out in the countryside.
Oh, nice.
Very lovely
nice.
too. Very nice.
So you can crank those valve amps out in the country.
Yeah, I've got neighbours sadly, but so I can't do too much cranking. But that's all right.
And then we know we got here the guitar hack, who is probably, when he cranks up his amps, he's annoying the entire west side of Toronto. How you doing, buddy?
How are you?
Jeez, it's been a while since it's been live.
Yeah, it's been a whole hour.
Yeah, you've been everywhere this week, man. This is what, the fourth channel, including your own, you've been on in the last few days?
You know what? I just thank everybody. I mean, I was yesterday, GTV decided to go live, and he asked me if I'd, go on with him, and that was cool. So did that, and I did my Sunday one, as you know, about an hour ago. So you know what? It's great, man. It's a lot of fun. Love it.
Do you have trouble squeezing them in against everybody else going live? Because obviously Pete Thorne is live. He went live at 7 o'clock.
Pete Thorne,
we go live now. You went live at 6 o'clock. It's like a train.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to scroll up to the top of the chat here, and let's see who we got hanging out here. We have Jason Wade says, I love Canucks with guitars. They're so sexy. Sure. R2 responding, going,
Yeah.
We've got EJ's Guitars. Good to see you. With Jimmy T. Some guy named Guitar Hack. I don't know who he is. Arvin Gallant. Who else we got here? Scrolling down. Scrolling. Wow, everybody's talking to each other off air, I guess. Simon Williams. I don't know who he is either. Who are these people? Why are they in my chat?
Some guy on the other side.
I better behave. He's got a wrench, so.
Yeah.
T, Arvin Gaunt, R2.
Hey, R2.
We got Siwa in the house. We got Sonia in the house. We got Soda Pop in the house. We got Lance Moss. We have Judd Lofthouse. We have Jamal. Hey, buddy.
My fellow UK man, Judd Lofthouse. How you doing?
Yes. Awesome. Mark So's Images, tuning in from the west coast of Canada. Welcome one, welcome all. Awesome. Says we got 22 people watching already. Mr.
Awesome.
Beane, you guys know him?
Yes.
Bruce?
That might be Bruce. I never did ID him at Gearfest, so, We got Tanaka in the house. Hey, buddy. Good to see you. Just so everyone knows, Guitar Hack has no pants on now. Well, that's good to know.
Again?
Great news.
Hey, I'm not wearing pants either, so I'm wearing shorts.
Well, it's because us Canucks with guitars are sexy, right, Ben?
That's
Is
right.
that the deal? That's right. We don't need pants.
Yeah. Let's see. On the panel today, we have two Canucks with guitars, and it looks like another guy who's disguised as a Canucks with guitars.
Yeah.
I appreciate the support with the shirt.
There we are. I see. Ta-da. Yes. Yeah, mind you, it has to be said, isn't it? If you go around in the UK saying you're not wearing any pants, it's a slightly different thing to the other side of the Atlantic. Right. So I'm wearing trousers and pants.
There we go. Hey, we got my sister Amanda watching. Good to see you,
Hi, Amanda.
So, how's everyone doing? Let's see, Pepper, you're recovering from last night's gig. You went live. You got a smoke and a coffee, so life looks good.
Yeah, I tried to go live from the venue last night, and I got criticized for our horrible Canadian internet again. But it was, it was a shared internet, right? It was the bar internet, so I managed to get on for I think a minute before I finally gave up on it. But yeah,
right. Yeah. How you doing, Simon, on this lovely weekend?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah. It's already Sunday evening for me, so Already looking
Wow.
forward to tomorrow and going back to work. Yeah,
Well, see, I worked yesterday. I'm off today and tomorrow, so this is my Saturday in many ways. So.
Excellent.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yes. So let's see. What do we got going on? You guys saw the big news regarding Gibson the other day. I know Guitar Hack's a big Gibson fan.
Yep.
No surprises, really, though, is it? Let's be fair.
No. And yeah, go ahead.
I was saying, I think they finally smartened up in the sense that they're releasing fewer models. They got rid of all those weird colors and shapes things, and they're doing what they do best. And of course, the prices went up, but you know,
that's Gibson for you.
Well, actually, I've seen on a lot of stuff the prices have actually gone down a bit.
Oh yeah,
yeah, 5 to 10% on a fair amount of stuff.
Well, I was talking yesterday. I was talking with GTV on that, and we were talking about the prices of like SGs, and I mean SGs have gone up. In 4 years, they've gone up at least $500.
Yeah. Well, I think they were notorious. I don't know about you, but I always thought the Les Paul was spiked in price compared to an SG or an Explorer or a V. Like, why am I paying $1,000 more for a Les Paul over an Explorer or a V?
Yeah.
You know,
because it's a Les Paul.
Yeah. Yeah.
They know
everybody
people
wants
pay
Les
it.
Paul.
Yeah. Well, they know people pay it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they did the right thing by slimming down their ranges. But I noticed I saw one the other day that still got kind of push pulls and stuff like that, which I think is cool.
Well,
I think if you've got a range that does
idea.
the innovation bit and has a bit of technology in it, that's fine. And alongside it, you have if you want a trad Les Paul, built in the same way as it was in 1959, you can still get one of those.
Yeah, exactly.
But even with the technology, Simon, though, they still have the look. It's all about the look. They maintain the look. You know, they didn't change. There's the regular colors everybody's used to is back. The Robo Tuners are died, thank God. You know, it looks like a Les Paul.
Yeah. That's what I mean. I think they have to be very, those traditional guitar manufacturers had to be quite careful about what technologies they introduce. Things like Robotuners. The trouble with those is, one, they didn't work very well.
Right.
And actually, regardless of anything else, if it doesn't work smack on like that, then it's going to annoy people, isn't it?
Yeah.
If at least you can say, hey, it works and it's really good, that's, and then you can go, well, this is a kind of modern thing and we're introducing this. I can see, but it's like a lot of technology. If it comes out, they feel the need to put it out and it's not right. It's not 100% there. And then people go, well, that's rubbish, isn't it? I mean, it doesn't really work and it's an annoyance. And it
even if it worked as fast as if it's like you do 3 strums of your guitar with a Mississippi in between, and by the 3rd strum, it's dialed in, then we'd be fine with it. But, sometimes it looks like, and I don't know, I'd be curious too, is how well do they work in a live stage environment? Sort of like you try using a snark tuner, for instance. If your bass player starts tuning up too, the snark's picking up the bass over you. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because they use the pickups.
They didn't work on microphones though, did they? They worked on kind of vibration type things.
Yeah, okay.
Like the clip-on tuners do now. But I can't see that it, as you say, in a noisy gig environment, does it work properly? It didn't seem to work well when in the studios, did it?
They always said that because I've tried, I don't know if you've ever tried actually tuning it, guitar with Robo Tuners on it, because they said if the Robo Tuner, the device failed, you could still turn the knobs.
Yeah.
But the gear ratio was ridiculous on that. Like, it would take you 6 months to tune a guitar if that unit failed. Yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah. And you see, that to me is about, they haven't, they've got 80% of it there, but they haven't got 100% of it there. And if you're going to release something that technologically advanced in kind of Gibson world, then it's got to be right. And people have got to go, that's really cool, and it really works, and it's a really good thing that's going to happen in a live environment while you're doing a gig. As you say, Ben, you could just go ching, 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 well, there we are, tune up, or I'm off again, There's some things, it's...
Yeah, we got 9 Fathoms in here. We got JJ's House of Jams. Hey, brother. Good to see you. Fender Guru. Guitar Girl. Dry Heat 480. Love the custom telly. Need to show it off. Well, I suppose.
Look at that. 10 minutes and we're on to the custom telly. Come on.
Give it up.
Ben's had a good weekend.
I have, yeah. So here it is, folks. I'll present myself here. Cursor. Present. So we did a satin finish.
Oh, yeah.
Nice red burst. A subtle arm relief, if you can see that.
Yeah.
Well, as you can see, it's already totally covered in fingerprints.
Well done.
Custom pick guard. Let's see what we got. A Parsons Street style neck P90, which is a more old school. More modern P90 in the bridge. Modern 6-saddle telly bridge. Let's see, 4-way switch. So bridge, parallel, series, both pickups, neck pickup, which I totally forgot I even ordered that.
Yeah, that's really cool, isn't it? That 4-way switch. I was wondering if you'd done a 5-way actually. So, but yeah,
and then we got
very cool.
Neck with just a stain on it, kind of a distressed look on the stain. Just because, well, you can see like right here how light the wood was. He just wanted to darken it up, which I'm fine with. Vintage size stainless steel frets. So it's the first guitar I've ever had with stainless steel frets. Let's see, oversized kind of a Strat style headstock, which I kind of dig without getting sued, you know. And Grover tuners on it. So, yeah.
Are they locking tuners, Ben, or are they just standard tuners? Are they locking tuners?
No, they're just standard tuners. I don't really need locking tuners. I never put my guitar out of tune for the most. Once I stretch the strings, I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. It's a lovely guitar. Fantastic.
It's very nice.
Yeah.
Do you notice a difference with these stainless steel frets, the feel?
Yeah. Well, yes and no. Like right now, it just feels like they're just newly polished frets. But I just think they'll just continue to feel that way, right?
When you drag when you're doing vibrato, and you're dragging the string over the frets, I always notice a little difference.
Yeah.
Because it's smooth, right? Silky smooth.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there was one little thing happened during travel. The 16th fret decided to pop up a bit. But I understand because he only put the frets in the neck maybe a week and a half ago. So it's still a very fresh guitar. Like he really knocked this out fast for me because he already had a plane ticket booked to come home for a visit. And so as a result, the one fret popped up, but hell, Richie can fix that, no problem. It's an easy fix.
Yeah, the wood still has to acclimate to where you are, so you might still have a bit of frets.
Yeah, like I had to adjust the intonation a bit last night. Like if you watch a review vid, it sounded like it was out of tune. It was just the intonation, because it did fly here, so.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool.
It's awesome. Congratulations,
but the neck, the way he carved it out, it's lopsided. And at first I thought that was weird.
Right.
Because you would think you would do more relief, for your fingers, but it actually makes sense. When you get up here, your thumb needs to get up there too.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
And it took me about 2 hours of playing before I realized I had 22 frets. I went to reach for something. I went, hey, there's an extra fret there. Rock on. So
that was a bonus fret.
Yeah. I really love it. Put my setup on it. Plays like a dream. Sounds great.
Just a quick setup, eh, Ben? Just it's good.
I'm gonna take a while. I'm gonna take a while. Yes, Ben.
Well, so I do have to say, Travis, he had quite the day yesterday because he came by here, dropped off this guitar, and then so we chatted for a few minutes. Hey, Cheddar, good to see you. He left here to pick up our friend, a mutual friend of ours, Mike, which if you guys saw on Facebook, I showed a picture of 2 guitars. There was an Explorer style as well.
Yeah.
And so he gave Mike that guitar. That was the other one he was delivering. And then they drove down to Kingston, which is about 100 kilometers east of us. And Mike gigged with that guitar that last night.
Wow.
And I got a text about 10:30 last night. He goes, Mike is tearing it up on stage. He's using my guitar. This is so damn cool. And I was like,
that was the Explorer one, was it, Ben?
What's that?
That was the Explorer shape one, the other one you photographed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very risky move to gig with the guitar you just get. But that proves how good that instrument is, that he was just able to pick it up and do it, you know?
Well, and the interesting, it's kind of funny. It's like, all of us, bar room gigging musicians, we don't have a guitar tech, but when you have the actual luthier that built the guitar right there.
That's right, yeah.
That's cheating.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so I'm going to take a wild guess, Ben.
You got Seymour Duncan in the wings in case your pickup goes, and you got Grover Jackson in case your neck needs adjustment, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to assume that you're going to use that guitar your first gig.
Yeah. October 5th, we're doing a celebration of life, and yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it will have settled in by then, won't it? Settled down, kind of.
Yeah, and then I'll use it for I got to practice on Wednesday. It'll probably be traveling to work with me every day. I probably won't.
Well done. Yes, like a pet, isn't it? I'll take it to work. You play it at work, play it at home, play it everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. That's the cliche. No matter where you see me, this is hanging off me, right?
Yeah.
So Ben, is that built to your specifications? Did you tell him what you wanted in terms of neck radius and all of that kind of gear?
Yes, exactly. And that's what really, like Travis and I have known each other for almost 40 years. Like I've literally known him since childhood.
You were at school, weren't you? Or Amanda was at school.
Yeah, he went to school with my sister Amanda, from kindergarten right through 12th grade. And it was funny because originally I contacted him to just do a replacement neck for my Strat. And when he responded with 20 questions, I knew he was the right guy. Right? And I even told him, I'm like, I need a Strat neck, 60s profile, and then he comes back with what size frets, what fret material do you want? You want rosewood fretboard, maple, ebony, I'll do anything you want type thing. And I went, oh, okay. And it just progressed from there. I asked for a Tully style body because he could knock one out in no time. And then it was Rich's idea to get the P90 because as he told me, he goes, you have a single coil, you have an active single coil, you have a humbucker, why not complete the set?
Yeah,
and
indeed.
So,
yeah.
And I've been wanting a P90 guitar for a while, so that just made sense. Got the four-way switch in it because that's kind of my thing. I'm big on the four-way switch in the Tellys.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Of course, the raw neck, which he'd never done a raw neck before, and I really dig the raw neck. And the fretboard's raw too. There's no material on the maple fretboard either because I blame Johnny Beane or Eddie Van Halen. And he's like, "Where'd you get that idea?" I'm like, "A little guy goes by EVH." Oh, okay.
So is it, Ben, is the neck profile the same as your 72 Telly? Is that what you based it on?
Yeah, very similar. It feels a little more V-shaped. Like I can feel on the upper side here, it's a little flatter. So it's got a little more V. And I dig it. Like I literally just noticed that. As soon as you're like, how does it feel? And I went, huh. Yeah, the 71 is a rounder neck.
71.
The 67 is a little narrower than the 71 even.
Yeah, that's like the asymmetrical Gibson necks, like the 60 Slim, and they're asymmetrical, and they're it's more comfortable on. It's basically shaped to your hand, right? As you move up the neck.
Yeah, and 9.5-inch radius. That was the one thing that Travis pretty much insisted on. He says you'll love it. He goes, I know you do big bends. It'll help. It won't choke out as much. Although I don't really have a problem with choke out on big bends, even with a narrow radius.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't think I notice very much. I'm sure my guitars have got different radiuses. I don't particularly notice that they're different. Pick it up, start playing, don't you? 5 seconds after you've started playing it, it's you have to get used to the guitar if it's not the same as the last one, and crack on with it, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah, I saw. Did you see that rundown? Joe Bonamassa's latest rundown.
Yes.
Oh,
Well, that's what he was saying, wasn't he? He was saying, "How do you cope with different necks? We just pick it up and start. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I have to get on with it."
Yeah, I don't have time to think about it.
No, just get on with it.
Yeah.
Well,
it's like I was showing this thing to my dad last night, and I was like, "What do you think?" He's like, "Yeah, that's a decent guitar and stuff." And then I said, "Yeah, and the weight's not bad." He says, "Well, it's way heavier than my Tele." And I was thinking, a pound, maybe, a pound and a half, because it is a mahogany body, but not a lot. And I was thinking, well, grab my Les Paul Custom. It's got another pound and a half, 2 pounds on this.
Yeah.
So, have you A/B'd that with your other Teles?
No.
Just see what the sound difference is?
I haven't put this down since I got it.
That's it. Well, it'd be interesting to A/B it because of the different woods and that. I mean, the pickups as well, but just to sort of hear, if there's any similarities.
Yeah. I would say it's closer in tone to the 67 with the active pickups because they are a little meatier. And the 71 is really, really bright because that body, like, I swear that thing weighs well under 7 pounds. It is a super light guitar. And as such, it's got tremendous sparkle to it.
Yeah.
Really chimey. Hey, Michael Smith. Good to see the captain here.
Hey, Michael Smith. Evening, sir.
Michael Bishop. Back in too.
How are you?
Cool.
Have you tried it with any gain yet, Ben?
Oh yeah.
Is it? How are the P90s? Are they feedbacking a lot on you, or not so much?
No, I haven't really cranked it up too loud. Like, I haven't done a stage volume test yet or anything like that. But yeah, that'll be Murphy's Law because I took my noise gate off my pedal board and replaced it with that pedal I got off you. So by luck, I'll be putting the noise gate back on the pedal board, right?
So is that one of the problems with P90s? Is that you're liable to get more feedback and kind of?
Yeah, a bit more because they are essentially a single coil on steroids.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the one thing when I play in the P90s. When I do a bar and I use the P90 guitars, I got to be real quick with the volume.
Right.
At the end of songs and breaks and that, because I don't use noise gates or any of that. Yeah.
Well, I sometimes run a noise gate because it will compress your tone, and a lot of people say in a bad way, but I compensate for it, and I use that as a mild compressor essentially because I do find it does compress the tone that a little bit. It's actually one of the reasons I went with a cheap Behringer noise gate instead of a nice one because I found it actually compressed the tone. I was like, well, that's an unintended consequence.
Yeah. Something
that's
I
funny.
like. Yeah. So Ben, the P90, because I'm quite interested in having a P90 guitar. It's the kind of one thing I don't have. But don't worry, it hasn't gone away. It's just a case of it. But I'm interested by this sort of the difference between P90s and the single coils. I mean, I have a Strat which has single coils. I have no issues with feedback with it at all. It's a bit hummy, but yeah.
Well, no, yeah. If your Strat doesn't feedback, you're thinking, I'd say maybe 5-10% more likely to get feedback. Like, it's not significant.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. If you're not playing with high gain, it's not an issue, really.
Yeah.
Not very much.
It's just when,
Pepper, I don't.
It only becomes an issue, if you're playing dirty and then, especially if I go for a solo and I hit the tube screamer, if there's any dead air, it'll feedback. So you got to keep busy.
Yeah.
Keep those fingers moving.
How this sounds like with the volume rolled off. It does clean up nicely. It doesn't get too dark right away, which is really nice.
That's good.
Can you roll it off clean, Ben? Does it go clean with you?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. And without too much loss of treble.
Yeah, exactly.
See, I've been paying attention.
See, I got a tip from, I asked Pete Thorne this question on his live stream, and he actually gave me a tip, and it works. If, for the feedback thing with P90s, instead of having, usually everything is on 10 on the guitars. He says if you turn the volume down to like 9 or 8, it actually helps it a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, so you just knock just a little bit off the guitar, so it's not
Just knock it off a bit, yeah.
Yeah. Not very much. Oh, that's interesting, yeah. So what P90s do you have, Pepper? What P90 guitars do you have?
Sorry, me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, we're done talking about mine. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've got. I just have the one. I've got the 2018 Les Paul Classic, and and the reason I bought it is because it came with P90s on it. It's all black, and it's a beautiful looking guitar. But I just always, again, like Ben, that was what I was missing, was a P90 guitar. And it's a different animal. It really is. You hear every note. Everything is clear. It's very unforgiving,
Yeah.
you know, because you hear every note. And when you play a chord dirty, it's like it's all there. It's got a different kind of crunch.
Yeah.
It's really nice sounding. I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
Is that your main guitar?
I don't really. My main guitar is a Les Paul, and I've got a few of them, and I kind of rotate them. So, like last night, I was playing another Les Paul Classic, but it was modded with Sheptone pickups. I don't know if you've heard of Sheptones.
Yep.
But yeah, it just, you know what, that's the beauty of, and again, Ben will, I'm sure everybody knows, if you got a lot of guitars, just keep rotating them. They all become new again.
Yeah.
Keeps you out of the stores, right?
Well, I remember one time somebody asked me, like, how do you decide which guitars to take? Right?
Yeah.
And it depends, because usually Rich and I will take turns who gets first dibs on what guitars to take. So generally, I'll say to him first, what do you bring? If he says, well, I'm bringing, like, now would be like his SG and his 335. Well, I'll definitely bring a Tele. Something with just straight single coils. Whereas then he says, well, I'm bringing my Strat and my Tele. I'll bring my humbucker Tele or the Kramer or my Les Paul. But if I have first choice, my number one reason for selecting a guitar is whatever has the freshest strings on it becomes my number one.
That's the truth of it, yes.
The next freshest set, okay, that's the backup, right?
Yeah.
It's in Ken, who was on the chat with me. I don't know if you remember Ken, Ben.
Yep.
But we both have the same looking Honeyburst guitar. And I always ask him, are you taking the Honeyburst?
Right.
And if it's not, then I'll take mine, because the last thing I want is for us to show up with two Honeyburst guitars and we look like Bobsy Twins.
Yeah, matching up.
Might as well be matching shirts and hats.
Well, it just depends what you're doing, really, doesn't it? If you're doing Thin Lizzy, and then you have twin Les Pauls, that's what you're doing, and then that's going to work. It's going to be fine. But,
so good to see you, GTV. Thanks for tuning in.
Hey, GTV. Nice to see you again.
We have 30 people watching and an unknown number of thumbs ups.
That's very cool. Yeah,
I will do that right now, Captain. Captain Smith, just want to report in. Don't forget to mention the room at NAMM. We're doing the Friday night meet and greet at NAMM.
Oh, yeah.
Not a cheap proposition. I will be going live from the party. Hey, Todd Flowers. So any contribution helps. We have a GoFundMe set up down below. There's one for Rich and me to get to NAMM. We're about halfway on that. And we're at about 25% of our goal on the suite. Because, of course, the Hilton likes to jack up the prices, but we want it. We thought it'd be cool because I think I know of about 24 people are going. So it'd be nice, to show off everybody in one room. We'll go live for a bit. Assuming that the Wi-Fi is good. If it isn't good, I'll just use some data for 5-10 minutes or something like that. So, yeah, every little bit helps.
Just take some of that Canadian Wi-Fi with you, the good stuff,
Oh yeah. The good stuff. Hey,
not transferable. Yeah. That sounds very cool. Yeah.
Yes, a nice new guitar, by the way, Captain Smith.
Yeah.
What's Captain Smith got? I haven't seen it. What has he got?
Star guitar.
A what, sorry?
The EVH Star guitar.
Oh, okay.
Sort of kind of explorer shaped with the Dane Electro neck on it.
Wow. Sounds cool.
Well, there we go. Michael
Nesdall fan for him, didn't he?
Got unlimited data. So there we go. We may go live on my channel.
Yeah, don't worry. Just set up Mike's phone in the corner as a hotspot. You'll be fine.
then I forget to log out, and then next thing you know, Michael Smith's going live on my channel.
You can go live on your own just using his phone as a hotspot, then you'll be fine.
Yep.
Sitting in the corner, Wi-Fi'd up. That sounds like it's going to be great fun.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. We're going to be staying with JJ's House of Jams. We'll be going live from there as well, probably do some jamming. He wants to do some recording.
Yes, JJ's house. Yes, they'll be jamming there for sure.
Yeah, I told him he needs to set up a Facebook page for JJ's House of Jams, because that way when we arrive, I can check in at JJ's House of Jams.
Or at least a sign over the door. Yes. Which is what he needs, doesn't he? Yeah.
You're in there too, eh? So JJ's all hooked up. He's got all the gear and he's got drums and everything in that room, doesn't he, Ben?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, his son plays drums.
Like the neighbors.
Yeah, and he's got his buddy Joe just down the street.
Yeah, he obviously doesn't have neighbours, does he? Or not that close.
Yeah.
Hey, what do I care? I'll be leaving the country soon enough.
Make too much noise, you get deported, Ben.
Yeah.
That's bad.
I got deported.
I'll be right back, folks. I got to take my dog inside.
Fair enough. Todd Flowers says he's just practicing slide and watching this. Awesome.
Practicing slide. Oh, Todd. I want to check out Ariel Posen. He's a wizard slide player.
Yeah, him and Joey.
Fellow Canadian. And Joey Landers. Yeah.
Yep.
It's that sliding and playing the fingers behind the slide, isn't it?
You know,
I've stood
slide for 20 years, and I don't get that. You know, it's I'm
stood 3 feet away from Ariel Posen to that, and I don't understand it either.
You almost think if you run super high action, so if you fret that string, it'll fret independent of the strings that are being held down by the slide.
I think you tilt the slide up a bit, and then you can the lower strings you can put your fingers on, and it will make them ring. You just got to be precise about it.
And I want to try one of those slides that they use that have the cutout for the knuckle.
Yeah.
That's really nifty.
The technology, it's just little increments, isn't it? How it progresses forward.
Yeah, and you figure that guys have probably been using a slide on a guitar for 100 years.
Yeah, and you use an aspirin bottle,
You take a little notch out of this thing, it really improves the dexterity.
I'd like to point out, it's difficult to take a notch out of an aspirin bottle, isn't it? Which is what they used to use in the past. That's quite hard. Glass, that's difficult to cut.
Well, I suppose if you went to a glass cutter.
I don't think those poor blues guys know where a glass cutter
probably ask you to pee into the bottle after asking the request to cut a notch out. Once the test comes back negative, we will proceed, sir.
Have you taken all these tabs, sir? All at once? That's not Yeah. Be much questioning your sanity if you started going around asking for that, wouldn't it? But yeah. So I know that's my recommendation. Check out Ariel Posen, Joey Landris. Those guys are amazing slide players.
Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah. As I say, I was lucky enough to sit 3 feet from Ariel Posen when I went on this guitar breaks holiday. A week playing guitar in a hotel in Italy. Matt, I can recommend it. It's really good.
It reminded me of like they do those rock and roll fantasy camps in like Las Vegas and Los Angeles and stuff. Except it looked way more laid back.
Oh yeah. It was incredibly laid back. There were half a dozen of us, and Ariel Posen and a young Welsh guitar player called Chris Buck, who's a great player as well. Yeah. And half a dozen of us from across Europe, and we were in this hotel, and it was kind of help yourself to breakfast, lunch is laid out for you, 4-course meal in the evening. Other than that, carry on, chaps, play guitar, and every day a different person kind of turned up. So one day a luthier turned up with some of his guitars we could have a go on, and another day a really nice guy called Emilio turned up with his own pedals that are called Cornerstone pedals that are really cool. And he turned up one day, so we had some of those to try. And then these 3 mad Italians turned up with their with their bespoke amps that they made themselves, you know, €3,000 jobs. But they bought a 66 Strat and a 68 not a Les Paul. What does Richie play?
His SG?
Yeah, the SG. Thank you. The 68 SG.
Sorry, he's still new to the SG world, so
yeah.
He hasn't played a Les Paul in ages, and I still think of him as a Les Paul and an offset player, and he hasn't owned an offset in about 3 years.
As I'm associated with the SG Australia. But yeah, they bought. So we had a chance to play a 66 Strat and a 68 SG. Not that happens often to me, but and also really more fun than that is I've got a Strat as well, a Japanese one, just to compare the two. Like there is going to be, it's like, what is the difference? You know, for my own satisfaction, I can sit there and play the 66, plug mine in, and kind of go, oh right, okay, yeah. You know, it's kind of, I mean, obviously there's a difference.
Yeah, there is a mojo to them. Yeah,
but I wasn't disappointed by mine. I didn't go away thinking, well, that's a bit rubbish, really, isn't it? You know, which is good, frankly.
Yeah.
You know, I felt something.
Asked me to email them. Email me at the email link down below, and I will reply once we're off air. So, email.com. Email me there, and I'll reply.
So, Simon, what was the main difference you found between the two? Was it a sound, or was it a feel?
Well, the feel was quite similar. I'll show you my guitar. I've got this is my 30-year-old Japanese Stratocaster.
Oh yeah,
standard Stratocaster. Really nice. I've had it for 30 years, so it's my old favourite kind of standard thing. It basically it played pretty similar. Yeah, I think the neck on the 66 was a little bit wider. This has apparently got a 59 body and a 62 neck, so I think the neck was a little bit wider, but quite very similar kind of feel. The main difference is if this guitar, if you think about it sound-wise, has something that wide, then the 66 had a kind of extra bit tacked onto it. It was just a bit bigger. It wasn't like massive, you know, it wasn't like here and here, but it was like there and then there kind of thing. So yeah, it was interesting. Yeah, it just had a bit more bass and a bit more treble and a bit more width to it. But
right.
Pretty much, you know, the same sound, if that makes sense, but just a bit wider.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a bit more depth to it as well.
I've heard two things regarding guitars. One is, you know, the wood continues to dry over the years, which helps with the tone, you know, because otherwise they wouldn't roast bodies and necks. You know, that's a proven science as far as I'm concerned. And two, I had also heard, I remember when I first started playing, they were saying the more you play a guitar, just the vibrations from the strings interact with the fibers of the wood. And it's like it lines up the fibers more or something like that. Like it actually changes the fiber of the wood. So the more you play an instrument, that's why, you know, like those well-played instruments you see that look like they're worth $3 sound the best, you know, assuming they haven't just been beat to death. But you know what I mean? Like,
yes, the Rory Gallagher Strat.
I'm not sure if I could say that. Yeah, like a Rory Gallagher or something like that.
Yeah.
But and I fully agree. You know, and especially when you think older guitars all had nitro paint, which breathed a little more. Not to mention nitro paint, if you looked at it wrong, it would break off. So you have all these pieces of exposed wood that even I think on a minute level, you know, moisture will find its way out through these nicks and crannies and stuff like that, which help accelerate that drying process.
Sure.
Now, speaking of the roasted necks, I'd love to have a guitar with a roasted neck. I just love the look of that neck.
Yeah.
They look so cool.
Yeah.
You know? They're beautiful.
I wanted to do a full roast. Dave Nesdall had a telly recently that he got rid of, a custom shop telly with a roasted neck and body. And it weighed nothing, he was saying. And it was so resonant.
Yeah.
But kind of light and sparkly resonant. Or does it get a bit darker because you've roasted it?
I think it gets a bit brighter.
A bit brighter? Okay.
Yeah.
All the music stuff is roasted.
He saw something really cool this morning, was loading a flight to Fort Lauderdale, and somebody bought a 64 Strat from Emerald City Guitars. I wanted to open the case so bad. No demo.
Leave it alone, Jamal. That's...
Yeah. Yeah, you can just imagine, it's like, molded flight case, meh. Molded flight case, meh. Tweed case, oh. What do we have here?
Yeah. It would be very tempting, wouldn't it? Just have a look. Put your hand on the neck. Yeah. Completely. It's But yes, I'm a great believer in, get a guitar, play it, Yeah. Absolutely,
Well, and as I tell people, like, anyone that's worried about gigging with a vintage piece of gear, because we do it in the band, don't even give it a second thought, because generally it's going to be a fellow musician that's going to steal from you. And most fellow musicians nowadays, they see, like, my 71, they think it's a Fender pawn shop series, factory relic, oh, that thing's only worth $300-400 at the pawn shop, because it's got to be a reissue, because the guy wouldn't be gigging with a vintage guitar here.
Yeah. Psychology, double bluff. Yes,
it is. Like, I remember we were playing a dive bar. Now, granted, we always have somebody near the stage at any given time for that reason. But I'm playing my 71 Tele. Our bass player is playing a 72 P bass. It's kind of funny, but that's his only bass, and he's had it forever and a day.
Take it out and play it. Absolutely. Yeah. Doesn't mean you have to be a bit extra vigilant, doesn't it? You have to there's a bit standing around beside it, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's why I like Joe Bonamassa a lot. I mean, his whole thing is guitars are meant to be played. So I mean, he's coming out with guitars that are worth more than most people's houses. But you know what? He's playing them, and that's great. You get to see him, you get to hear him live. I'm actually going to see Joe in Toronto in November. Looking forward to it.
Cool.
Nice.
And it's and I'm hoping it's. Pardon?
And he went up at this tour too, right? Because not only he's got a pair of 60 Les Pauls, among other things, but he's also pulled out a pair of Dumble amps on stage as well.
Okay, I'm hoping he's going to bring out Amos the V.
I believe he's got it with.
I'm hoping he's going to pull that one out.
Either that, or he's got his replica of Amos because he's promoting it, right?
Yeah, that's right. He's got a replica. He's got another one as well. Did you hear the story about the other one he got? He was driving down the west coast when he bought a car, and he got a call, I think, from a guy who he knows in Guitar Centre saying, "Hey, do you remember we just had a call from this couple who've got this amp for sale, this whole whatever it was. Do you want to go and have a look?"
Yeah.
So he turns up at the house, and they go, "Oh yeah, here's the amp," and he's like, "Yeah, it's a $500." He goes, "Oh, we've got this guitar as well. If you want it for $500." It's like the original, 59 Flying V, and he's like,
in a garbage bag.
In a garbage bag. In a garbage bag. Yeah. And they're like, and he had to sit them down and say, "This guitar isn't worth $5,000, $500. It's worth $200 or whatever it was."
And that's why he's a good guy too, because he could have just bought it for a song and put it in the vault, and nobody would have known different. And he could bring it out in a couple of years and say, "Hey,
Yeah. He said good old fashioned dose of Catholic guilt wouldn't let me do it.
Well, I always joke on like he's always posting his Guitar Safari finds on Instagram.
Yeah.
And his last tour through Canada a few months ago, he's like, "Oh, I stopped here, like at 12th fret in Toronto, right?
Yeah.
That's got a ton of vintage gear." And I was like, "Dude, you've already cleaned out America. How about leaving some of it for us in Canada here?"
Yeah. Apparently he's a guy I know who runs a record shop in Bristol, near where I live, called Treble Rock, Steve Treble. Apparently John Bonasson came into his shop a little while ago.
Oh, wow.
He said, Steve said, he's definitely on the spectrum. Definitely. It's all got to be just
right.
so. Yeah.
Yep, very true. Very true.
Yeah, he says, really nice guy, though. Really nice,
Well, if anybody has any questions in the chat, feel free to ask away. Kind of keeping an eye on the chat. I may have missed something, so ask again if I missed something, but I miss a lot.
Pop up, but see them talking to each other.
Oh, we got Superfoes in here. Awesome. Randall Fisher, good to see you. Yeah, we got 26 people watching. Awesome. on a Sunday afternoon here, Sunday evening in the UK. Which, yeah, I think originally, did I not invite you on the channel about 5 months ago, Simon? Just as a one-off, like you were in the chat, and I'm like, you need to come on sometime. And then I kind of forgot about it because I used to do the Sunday show this time of day every Sunday. And then I got into a stretch where I was always busy, and then it kind of switched to Sunday nights as you get, like, let's be honest, when Steve from Boston says he'll come on your channel, you go live when it's convenient for him. Right? And then I was, we got it. And then I saw you on Andrew's show, and I was like, man, I got to get Simon on. And I believe I messaged you while watching the replay. And I was just like, I'm doing this.
Yeah, keep that crazy boy off.
Hey,
yeah, the first time I saw you, Simon, like I said, was on Fender show.
Yeah, that was the first one I'd ever done.
That was great. That was great.
Because I keep banging away in the chat of theirs, because they talk about, because I'm old, they talk about stuff that I know about. I mean, I'm 60, so I was 14 in 1972. So, so that kind of whole Rolling Stones thing, or that early 70s thing, that's where I am.
Right.
That was great information on the British scene, man, because that's, I mean, I don't know, like, that's what kind of got me into music too, is, that whole British scene, Led Zeppelin and all the Invasion, and like that's the good stuff.
Yeah. But you're younger than me.
We got a question here. Ooh. Apparently, it was a question asked to Guitar Hack earlier on his channel. I think I saw it just as I was jumping out. What's the most proud song your band covers? I would say for us, probably David Bowie's Heroes is a big one.
Wow.
Because we played in the key of D, so I played in drop D, very big sounding, and Richie's got the E-bow, and it's one thing to do the E-bow between D and G. Those are your two main chords for the most of it, and then you do a C to D run, and when he nails that transition to the C, all with the E-bow, and then going through the whole rundown for the pre-chorus, or the chorus, or for that matter, and it's tight, it's rocking, it's driving, it gets people dancing, and it's a great song to end your set with, I find.
Yeah, we got into a big chat about, we got into a whole thing about playing for the people and playing what you like and the compromises you have to make and so on and so forth. And, and I mean, I fully admit there's a lot of songs I play that I absolutely cannot stand. But
I don't do that.
I do.
Yeah.
But when I play them, and like last night we did a couple songs that we've never really done before, and when I see everybody get up and and get into it, it's all worthwhile. I mean, if they're having a good time, I'm having a good time. So.
Right.
Yeah. It's interesting. I spent a lot of time in a band. Sorry,
it was like an electronic violin bow. That's what you hear in Heroes, or what was U2's song, With or Without You? I think the Edge used the Nebo on that.
Yeah.
How about you, Simon? Do you have a crowd pleaser?
Well, it's interesting.
Thank you, good night. That gets the biggest ruckus.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, No, I mean, no, well, it reminds you of that Aerosmith story, doesn't it? They decided to start with the song that they normally ended with because they were all so out of it. They finished the song, thank you very much, good night, straight in the lyrics and gone, having played one song. But not quite like that. But I take your point, Pepper, that I used to play in a band for a long time, a covers band, and I have no argument with this, by the way. We ended up kind of as a 7-piece. So we had a girl singer and a guy sang as well, and so 2 guitars, bass, drums, keyboards. And what you find is that somebody has to set the tone for the band, and I would say that's normally the lead singer, what they like to sing, what they wanted to do. And the guy who did it, Ian, was good, was fine, but he set tone. But he wanted it to be a kind of dance band, party band where people got up and it was all, Now that's fine, and eventually I wanted to do something else. I wanted to do more a Ben thing, which is I want to play the songs that I like and not just do songs. I mean, I find playing Amy Winehouse songs and stuff like that, and I'm pleased that I learned how to play them because it taught me lots about, guitars and all that. But I don't have them in my record collection, kind of thing. And I wanted to play stuff that I had. So I then left, and I have a little duo with a friend of mine, and we do kind of Tom Petty and Bruce Springsteen and stuff like that, which is the stuff I like, the stuff I've got in my record collection. But I think if I go back to those bands, 2 songs stick out for me. Probably Brown Eyed Girl, which never failed to get people up and dancing.
Never fails.
Never fails. And a song called Come Up and See Me, Make Me Smile, Come Up and See Me, by a group called Steve Harley and Cockney Rebel. It was a hit in the early 70s. But yeah, that's another one that seemingly never fails to get people up dancing.
Another one for us is Lunatic Fringe. That's a big one.
But you make an interesting point, Simon. I mean, I'm playing a lot of music that is not on my record collection, and it's stuff that I normally wouldn't play. But, like, as you were saying, being forced to play it makes you a better guitar player. Because I'm playing styles that I normally wouldn't. I mean, namely country. I'm about as far from country as you could possibly imagine. But I've had to learn how to solo in country. A lot of relative major, and it's not really my bag.
Just do a major pentatonic instead of minor, right?
Right,
that's how I think.
Gravitating to those new root notes and all that, and like in the feel of it and everything else. And I mean, I'm not chicken picking, God, I'm miles away from that, but but anyways, but you know what I mean. So it kind of forces you to do that, and trains your ear and makes you a better player. But the other part too, what I was going to say was, I'm playing stuff that I don't like, but for the ones I don't like, there's always lots that I do like.
Yeah.
Right.
And I also make compromises. I mean, there's one song we do in particular. I talked about this earlier. I absolutely hate the song, and most people do, except the people dancing to it. But I said, okay, I'll play this, but you got to give me a big guitar solo. And at the end of it, that's the compromise. And then at the end of it, the guys say, okay, go. And then I'll just go for whatever, and I'll play the craziest thing I could think of, just to entertain myself and make it all worthwhile,
So what's the song?
Oh, God. Okay, Ben's going to cringe.
Come on.
Everybody cringes.
Listen, anybody who doesn't have cringy stuff, in their past is not a real person.
Okay. All right, everyone's going to cringe. It's Mustang Sally.
Yes. Oh, I played Mustang Sally for years.
Sure.
It's fine.
Right?
Guitar solo.
We do our arrangement of it, and I do a big obnoxious solo at the end.
Well done.
Just so I can have some fun with it.
We used to get people out of the audience to sing on it.
Sure.
We used to pick people. We used to get 2 people up. We'd like, right, now come on, hey, ride, Sally, ride, do all of that. Yes, get around the audience, whatever. It's nothing wrong with a bit of cheese.
You know what? It never fails, and I hate to admit it. It never fails.
Because it's a great song.
Jeff Replinger, he was asking how late he was. We're about halfway through. I saw a couple of people. Fender Guru had to head off to work. Hello, Carlos, and anyone else that I missed. Awesome.
Hey, Carlos, how you doing?
How are you? I'm not seeing the chat, guys, because I'm on Google Hangouts, so I'm relying on you guys to.
Yeah, not a problem. I think it was Zach Thong asked if Rich and I were going to hit Norm's Rare Guitars while we're in Cali.
Yes.
I don't know how easy it is to get to Norm's from JJ's place, because if it's completely across LA, that's going to be crazy to try to do.
You've got to do it, Ben. That's a bucket list thing for me, man. Got to do it.
Yeah, that's true. I do want to hit the Sunset Strip, though. I want to go in, have a beer at the Rainbow Room. I want to have a drink at the Whiskey.
The Viper Room, yes. Come on.
Are you going to go, Ben? Are you going to go to the Guitar Center on the Sunset Strip where you got the rock walk and the handprints?
Again, up to JJ. If we can.
That would be very cool.
As long as we have the time to do it, right?
Yeah.
So, we're even talking about playing hooky one day of NAMM and just going out and doing the touristy things, and even as something as simple as Richie wants to go surfing with JJ. So I have no desire to go surfing in January, so they can go do that. I'll just hang out at JJ's place, or walk down to the In-N-Out Burger, because there's one just down the street from JJ's house.
Yeah, JJ says
Norm's is 2 hours away.
Yeah.
So
I got a funny story about it being Canucks. You'll get this. when I was in California, we went down there to do a New Year's Eve gig one year. And the day after the gig, we were driving up the Pacific Coast Highway, and we were in Malibu. And it was, in Fahrenheit, it would have been probably about 75 degrees Fahrenheit. And there's this beautiful beach. And we get out of the car and we're walking along the beach, and there wasn't a soul on the beach. And I'm like, what's wrong with these people? This is a beautiful day. You should be all out here on the beach. But for them, it's freezing cold. Right. Nobody in the water.
Yeah, see? It's all a matter of perception, isn't it? What you're used to.
Yeah.
Everyone's with their coats on at 75 degrees,
Yeah, they all got their jackets on,
Yeah, whereas, you know, if we gig in the wintertime, we're gigging, it could be 20 below Celsius with a wind chill, and you're still loading in and out.
I hope you still got your shorts on, Ben. Not. Oh dear. So, Guitar Hack. What got you into playing guitar? Who was it? Who's your first man you thought, that's it, that's for me?
Easy answer, Ace Frehley.
Okay.
Ace Frehley from Kiss. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got into Kiss when I was about 10, 11 years old, and just thought these, you know, like most kids at that age. And that was my first exposure to music that I actually liked listening to, and I bought the first record. And then just wanted to play guitar because I wanted to, you know, and that, I mean, Ace Frehley's the reason why I play guitar. It's the reason why I'm a Les Paul. And then as I got older, Jimmy Page was the next, and you know, you evolve from there, right? But
yeah,
I would say
yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So what records played in your house when you were a kid? What did your parents play? Did they play records?
My parents, Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass.
Okay.
And lots of ABBA.
Lots of ABBA.
And yeah, Glenn Campbell and just a whole mix of stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Speaking of Glenn Campbell,
did you like
phenomenal guitar player.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
He was part of the Wrecking Crew, wasn't he? He was part of the Wrecking Crew, wasn't he?
Yes. Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. That's interesting. Where you found your own thing to like.
Oh yeah, heavy guitar. Yeah. First time I heard a heavy guitar. You know, Nazareth, Aerosmith, all those bands from the mid '70s.
Yeah, this flight tonight. Right into
that stuff. You know.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when you hit the first chord with some crunch, there you are. Sold.
Sold.
I'm in.
Sold to the 11-year-old boy in the front row, yes.
Pretty much.
What was your first gig?
Oh, man.
Kiss?
I'm trying to... Oh, that I went to?
Yeah.
August 4th, 1979, Maple Leaf Gardens, Kiss on the Dynasty Tour. I'll never forget that.
Well done.
Never forget that date.
No, see.
Yeah.
I've
seen Kiss.
Really cool.
Pardon?
I said it's really cool. Yeah.
I've seen Kiss probably 15 times.
Wow.
Right, and then you know, and then through the 70s and 80s. I mean, I saw Sabbath when they toured here with Dio for the first time on the, and you know, all the Quiet Riot, all those bands. I've seen, you know, Prince. Seen Prince a few times. Prince probably, as far as being impressed with sheer ability and talent, I don't think anybody could touch that guy. He was unbelievable.
Yeah,
unbelievable. And I saw him, and his control of the band is unbelievable. All the kind of hand signals and all the bits that control the band. I remember being like, wow, you know, I've never seen anybody do that kind of thing before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I saw him on Purple Rain, Love Sexy, and Musicology tours. Unbelievable.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah. Fantastic. But yeah. It's all fantastic.
The cult goes on and on.
Yeah, so see, I'm interested because my first gig was 1972.
Wow.
So I'm.
What did you see then?
Well, you know, I said everyone's got an embarrassing thing, right? My first gig. But my excuse is I was given this ticket by a friend of mine. Yeah, he said to me, "I can't go. Can you go?" And basically, in the UK. There's a whole kind of, in the early 70s, there was a whole kind of infrastructure of every town had a municipal hall run by the local council. 2,500 seater. And in Bristol, it's called the Colston Hall. And there was the Birmingham Odeon and the Leicester de Montfort Hall and the Stafford Bingley Hall, and they all the bands went around the country and just played all these places. So I went to Castle, and I went to see. This may name means anything to you, really. I went to see a man called Gary Glitter.
Oh, I know Gary Glitter.
Sure.
Yes. Rock and roll.
Rock and roll
parts
1 and 2, and did you miss me, Gare, while I was around? Well, since sadly sound out for his proclivities with very young women. He's now really persona non grata in every possible sense. But
this is true.
I sat in the first 20 rows of this concert, and the place went nuts. And I've never been to a rock and roll concert before. And there's girls running all over the chairs. The place is going completely. I'm like completely astonished by this sort of, the power of this thing. It's like, really? Is that what happens? So it was amazing. But I can claim this. My second gig was Black Sabbath.
Oh, there you go.
Volume 4 tour.
Yeah. That is such a great period of time, though, because you had bands like the Sweet, T-Rex, Ziggy Stardust, and the Spiders from Mars. That was a golden time. That was a golden time. And
the beauty of it was that they all came to Bristol. Basically, they all came. Because they were the places you could play, and they were probably it's pre-stadiums. You see, nobody played. I think the first people I remember playing, say, Wembley Stadium was probably the Stones. 74.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Before that, if Ziggy Stardust played, the Colston Hall, the Hippodrome, but and I went to see Deep Purple. They played the Colston Hall.
Wow.
Both.
Yep.
I saw Deep Purple with Ian Gillan and and Roger Glover and Glenn Hughes and David Coverdale.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
So the two, they just Queen, you name them, they all came. They just came to the local town, and we went to see them. I told this story on the Fender Guru song. I went to see Golden Earring, supported by Leonard Skinner. And Leonard Skinner were the only band I've ever seen, support band, get an encore.
Right.
They had two great songs, and Golden Earring only had one. Golden Earring had Radar Love, and they had Sweet Home Alabama, and they had Freebird. So they win, and they were, but they were amazing. But it's an example, when people are coming through, they just come to your town and play. I'm not like this now where they do 5 gigs and they're all massive stadium gigs and stuff like that. You go and see Bruce Springsteen. He plays half a dozen stadium dates, stuff, and then off he goes to Germany or wherever.
Right.
But and the other interesting part about those things, again, I'm repeating myself in the Fender Guru thing, but I think it's worth sharing, is that to go and see a band at the Colston Hall in 1972 would cost you. I don't know if this means anything. 50p. So it cost you.
It'd be about $1.
Canadian dollar. $1 Canadian dollar.
Yep.
So an album would cost 5 times that.
Right.
So say $5 Canadian dollars, about £2.50. So then that's 50p, 75p. I went to see Led Zeppelin at Earl's Court in 1975. The most expensive ticket was £2.50. Seriously, the most expensive ticket, not the cheap ones. It's like they were like £1, £1.50, £2, and £2.50. And
that's the golden age, Simon. That's the golden age.
We have a question from the chat here that I'm going to ask each of you. Let's see him. First off, welcome Pooh Ninja. He says he's late, but at least he made it. My sister, I gave you a wrench. I figured, it's nice to have a female moderator in here as well, because let's be honest, there could be something that we all as men think is okay that
laddish.
And she asked, is there like a really good guitar player out there that you feel is like really underrated? And if you guys have 1 or 2 names you would drop or something like that. I know I have one off the top of my head that I'm thinking of, but I figured I'd throw it to you, Pepper, first.
Underrated. I don't know if the first guy that pops into my mind is Alex Lifeson. I mean, and in that he's never in the, when people are talking about great guitar players, he's never in that discussion. They'll mention Eddie Van Halen, or they'll mention Steve Vai, Satriani. I think he should be part of that conversation.
I could see that, and I think that's partially because I think Rush is probably the #1 band in the world that has a fan base like the highest percentage of musicians are fans. You know, whereas I don't think the general public necessarily would get Rush on the level that musicians did, right?
You know, and I mean, it was a 3-piece band. I mean, he, you know, I think you're onto that, you're onto something there. And the other thing is, because he wasn't doing all this extravagant, you know, I mean, he played solos, but it wasn't, you know, a lot of solos, but all that background stuff that he used to do.
Yeah,
I mean,
just he always did what was right for the song, right?
Exactly. He was a musician. He wasn't, you know, yeah. I huge Alex Lifeson fan.
Yeah. How about you, Simon?
That's a hell of a question, isn't it? I mean, I haven't seen them all, but you know, you think to yourself, you know, I mean, somebody who I thought, I'm probably my favourite guitar player who's not that well known. I don't think particularly, who I think is, I've seen him a lot of times, so I think is a British guy called Richard Thompson.
Okay.
He started off in a kind of folk rock band called Fairport Convention in the late 60s.
I've heard of that.
I've heard of him. But he is a phenomenal player. I mean, he has, you know, technique and what he can play. I've always been completely blown away, and having his own unique voice as well. I think he's an astonishing player and continues to be. I mean, he's got a new album coming out soon. He lives in America. He lives in California, but. Yeah, for me, you know, I mean, he's had periods when he's been, you know, quite high profile, but not for the last long time ago. But I've seen him in little clubs, you know, with 50 people, and I've seen him in the Colston Hall, you know, for 2,500 people.
Two off the top of my head, and I think it's probably because they're both big influences on me. Actually, Guitar Girl just brought up Paul Kossoff. I agree on that because I've lifted a lot of stuff from Paul. But for me. Yeah. An American guitarist, which would be Rick Richards, who was the lead guitarist for the Georgia Satellites. And he's also been Izzy Stradlin's lead player since the Georgia Satellites broke up 20 some odd years ago. But since Izzy doesn't tour or promote any of his albums, nobody knows about this stuff. But when you discover it, it's phenomenal rockabilly or country rock style of guitar, which leads me to the other guy who is very well known, but is definitely in a shadow, and that's Ronnie Wood.
Yeah.
I think Ronnie Wood might be the most underrated guitar player in the world because everyone thinks of Keith Richards, but look at the, 4, 5 solo albums Rod Stewart did, you know, in and around the time of the Faces. That's all Ronnie Wood, all over the Faces stuff, as well as all of Rod's solo work, all those big hits. That's all Ronnie Wood.
Yeah,
it's funny, isn't it? The difference between the American point of view and the British point of view. Because from a British point of view, and our Guitar Girl makes a good point. For me, Paul Kossoff is one of the great British American guitarists. You know, fantastic. You know, nobody I know would disagree, and I don't think, from a British perspective, I don't think he's underrated. By the same token, you know, I think that it's very interesting that you've got that different perspective on things. You know, that who we had and what we were doing in the early 70s, in this case. But
can I throw another name in here?
Yeah,
sure.
Another name, okay, and I'm going to support my fellow Canuck, Randy Bachman.
Bachman, sure.
Randy Bachman, unbelievable guitar player. You know, the stuff he did with BTO, I mean, he was on another level. Everybody's playing pentatonic blues. This guy's throwing jazz in left, right, and center. And it's tasty. Everything he plays is tasty, and it works. Any solo from that whole period, the Guess Who, or BTO, which is the most well-known stuff, listen to his leads. Unbelievable.
Right. And not even to mention, like, all the jazz work that he's done that never got promoted. Because you do that, you'll do a rock album or two and then do a jazz album or what.
Blue Collar. Listen to Blue Collar. Undone. I can go on and on. Unbelievable player.
That's interesting. I go back to Ben, to your point about Ronnie Wood. You see, again, the Faces were big in the UK in the early 70s. That's what the Faces with Rod Stewart, you know, and they were great. I think that he sort of suffers from being it's hilarious as somebody's been in a band for 47 years, but the new boy in the Rolling Stones, and people still compare him to Mick Taylor and stuff. But of course, they're incredibly different players. And I think Keith Richards decided that having one rhythm guitar and one virtuoso guitar player, he wasn't that keen on that. He wanted the intermeshing guitars, and so he got somebody who played more like him.
Well, and the dirty little secret, touring wise with the Stones for a number of years was, Keith would say to Ronnie, like, guess what? They'd split the solos 50-50, but he'd be like, you're doing all the solos tonight. Because of his heroin addiction for a number of years. Keith could barely play live. He could do the rhythm stuff and still excel at it, but it was Ronnie that would have to hold down a lot of the solo work.
Yeah.
And we don't see it because every concert wasn't filmed by 10,000 cell phones.
Yeah. That's lucky. I call that.
Exactly.
That's good. Yeah. So you see those, and it's very interesting, those different perspectives, I think, on from my side, the British side and the American side, and I think from the early 70s, when the sort of British rock bands were very preeminent, like Zeppelin and Purple stuff, went to America, kind of conquered America and did all that, and then in the late 70s, early 80s, obviously Van Halen, and then the guys from the Sunset Strip and all of that, who weren't very big over here, particularly. Probably more of a kind of niche audience than a massive audience, and therefore there's a kind of division away from what was happening in the two countries musically.
And I think we got the best of three worlds, I'll say, because we have CanCon in Canada, which means all radio stations are required to play 30% Canadian-based music. Mm-hmm. So you get one pop in many ways, but we also get all the influence from the U.S., but we also got all the UK stuff, because most people don't know. If you ever looked at a world tour, UK bands always played 2 or 3 Canadian dates before going into the US, because from the UK to Canada was a piece of cake, and a travel visa from Canada to the US was a piece of cake, but a travel visa from the UK to the US was much more hassle for some reason. And that's why, for years, the Stones always spent a month in Toronto doing rehearsals before any tour, because it's easier to get your travel visa for the U.S. if you've already been established in North America for some reason. And unless that's changed, and I don't think it has.
No.
A lot of it has to do
all the above.
Sorry, I was just saying, a lot of it, like you both are saying, a lot of it has to do with where you live. Simon, you've got, these British bands that over here we absolutely adore, those are your local bands, literally.
Mm-hmm.
And here we've got, in Toronto and Canada, there's a lot of local bands for us that are huge that don't make the transition, And I'm thinking, like Triumph, well, Rush is international, but, Triumph, Our Lady Peace, there's these are tragically hip.
The hip never really broke inside of the country.
Never broke.
I don't know about you, Pepper, but for me, I always get a kick out of when you're traveling in the U.S. and you'll hear a Canadian song come on the radio, or you're somewhere and you hear a Canadian song playing, and it takes you about 3 seconds to think, hey, they don't have to play that song. They're playing it by choice. And for me, it was a couple of years ago, I'm hanging out camping down in North Carolina, and somebody was playing a Honeymoon Suite album. Not just a song, but an album. And I was like, how the hell do you know about Honeymoon Suite?
I don't.
Well, they were a band out in Niagara Falls, go figure, with a name like Honeymoon Suite. And they won the first ever Battle of the Bands competition that a Toronto rock station did. And the winning prize was recording a demo, which they were able to then flip into a career, essentially. Big.
Simon, have you ever heard of a band called April Wine?
Yeah.
That's another massive
band playing in the UK in the early 80s.
Yeah. Okay, so they made it over.
Yeah, they did make it over. Yeah. Because there's a kind of, there's a sort of in the very late 70s, so 79, 80, there was a sort of new wave of British heavy metal.
Right.
So, of which Def Leppard, Iron Maiden came out of that scene.
Right.
Some other Samson and various. And I think April Wine were in that kind of, they were able to come over because there was a scene into which they could slot in and play. There were places they
They're
could
not really
go.
a heavy metal band, but yeah.
No, but they still were a rock band.
On that side of that group of bands, I'd say, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Pepper, but April Wine plays around here about 3-4 times a year.
Oh yeah, they were just here not too long ago.
Yeah, they're out in Alberta right now. I'm actually Facebook friends with most of the band, and so I always see the update. Flying into Medicine Hat or flying into Edmonton. Or
oh, okay. I forget the singer's name, but he's no longer with them, is he?
Nope, still the original lineup for the most part.
Oh, it is, eh? Oh, that's good.
His name's escaping me right now, but
I know it's escaping me too.
Derek Ian's still playing guitar for them. I think the band is, if not, it's like 4 of the 5 members are original.
Yeah, well, that's all right.
I don't have a clue who the keyboard player's name is. I never paid that.
No one ever does.
Name is escaping me. Oh man.
There we go. Jason Wade reports in. I was listening to Honeymoon Suite in 1984, walking down the beach in North Carolina with my then girlfriend, new girl now. Yeah, that was their first big hit.
That was, yeah.
I remember. It was in North Carolina, and I see posts like in Myrtle Beach area. They actually do like a Canada Day, all Canadian music live event, and. For whatever, and same as in Atlanta too, because Atlanta is a very corporate town. So you have a lot of transplanted Canadians working down there for various companies. And they do these huge shows, and it'll be like April Wine, Honeymoon Suite, Loverboy.
Loverboy, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I got a funny. I mean, Ben, you'll know about this. This is a little funny story I have. Do you remember? Well, you know Teenage Head, right, Ben?
Yep.
Okay. Well,
the Flaming Groovies, Teenage Head.
Pardon me?
You said the Flaming Groovies, Teenage Head?
No. Teenage Head was a Canadian band out of Hamilton.
Oh, okay, right. Okay, sorry. Yes.
So back in the early 80s, I don't know if you recall this, Ben, but they tried to break into the U.S. and they had to change their name to Teenage Heads.
Right.
And then they released, because, the connotation. And they released a record in the U.S. It was an EP, and it never went anywhere. And then that kind of sunk them right there.
Just by having the wrong name. Yeah. That's funny. I was thinking about a completely different thing. There was an American band called the Flaming Groovies, and they had an album out called Teenage Head.
Oh, is that? Oh, I didn't know
America,
that.
Yeah, in America, yeah. It's about 71. It's a kind of,
okay.
I think it was 71. Well, and that's probably where they got the name from, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
Could have been.
Probably. It was quite a well-known record in kind of, garage band circles. Flaming Groovies more.
Yeah, well,
garage band.
WT had a question, and long story short, yes, he says the focus is always on poor Keith's drug use. Did cocaine use impact Mick's work over the years? Yeah, because Mick was hanging out in the disco club where cocaine ruled, that scene.
And that's the impact. They went disco.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Everybody went disco back then. Kiss put out "I Was Made for Loving You." Rolling Stones, "Miss You." All those. Rod Stewart, "You Think I'm Sexy." They all did that disco song.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes, it's Yes, the early '80s. Yeah, like something.
I was just realizing
Studio
as global
51.
as YouTube is, how small it is in some respects, because I'm just looking in the chat. I'm thinking, I'm 100 miles east of Toronto. We got Pepper in the West End, and Soda Pop, who's also, I believe, in Toronto, just asked Zach if he's Canadian, and he's in Oshawa. So it's like literally 150 miles, and there's like a significant portion of the viewers of this channel at the moment.
Well, why not? Attract your own crowd. Well done.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Well, the nice thing about that is it's a lot easier to meet up in person if we ever want to, right? Because we're all within a couple hours of each other.
Yeah. I drove. I don't know if you know this, Simon. I drove out to meet Ben July.
Yeah, at the end of July.
Day. Yeah, that was fun.
Was that you were a couple of hours away?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah. Yeah, see, it's just down the road. Yes. in the UK, that would be the other side of the country. We would never meet up because.
Well, see, that's what I get a kick out of. Like when I drove down to Gearfest, everyone's asking, "Well, how far is that?" I said 8.5-hour drive, and they're like, "Are you insane?" I'm like, "That's nothing for me, you know." But because I used to drive for a living. I used to deliver auto parts, so I drove 8 hours a day every day. And two, like you can drive, like if you want to drive out west, for instance, because you have to go around the Great Lakes, you got to drive, 5-6 hours north and then turn left. You can drive another 5 or 6 hours and you're still in Ontario. You haven't even left the province.
Turn left. Whereas if I drove 5 or 6 hours in any direction, I'd be in the sea. Three directions I would be in the sea for sure. Swimming. But, yeah, only. I mean, 11 hours will get you from a long way into Scotland, to a long way down through England. I mean,
right.
You could probably do it. You could drive the length of the UK in a day.
Yeah,
quite comfortably.
Well, yeah, I remember talking to a buddy of mine who was doing a UK tour. Like you mentioned, all these municipal halls, because it's literally a pub, a municipal hall, or a soccer stadium. It's like. You don't have,
there are ones in between that, but yeah, there are now.
It was like,
used to be.
They had 14 dates in the UK or something like that, right? And I said, "Wow, you're touring the whole country." And he's like, and everyone's like, "Oh no, you could do that just in a province." I'm like, "Dude, that's the whole country."
yes, 14 dates is definitely the whole country.
2 or 3 weeks with a few off days.
Yeah, who was that, Ben? What band was that?
Yeah, and you're only playing what? You're only driving an hour or two between each show.
Yeah. Quite well, unless somebody's messed up with the tour dates,
Yeah,
they send you from London to Glasgow and then back down to Bristol,
Yeah.
They're kind of.
Yeah. Who did Birmingham, Liverpool, and Brighton back to back?
Yeah. Well, Birmingham and Liverpool's all right because they're only about 100 miles apart.
Okay.
If that, Birmingham to Brighton is about 150 miles, but it's a bit of a pain to get to because you've got to go round London. But even if you had a gig in London one night and Glasgow the next, that's probably about 7 hours drive, 6 hours drive. So it would be a pain, but it wouldn't be like I've got a gig in the north of Texas, and then the next I've got a gig in the south of Texas. 3 days to get to it.
I can't remember who it was, but it was one of our European viewers. Like again, because everything is so condensed, and I was saying how like I used to work 9 to 5, the next town over. I drive half an hour home, get changed, have something to eat. Load up gear, drive about 120 miles into downtown Toronto, go on stage around 11 p.m. or midnight, play an hour and a half, load up, and then drive the 120 miles back home.
Yeah.
Because we didn't feel like paying for a hotel room. And there's this, what? So you did a show, 4 hours of driving plus, it's like, that's normal. If you want to play in Toronto, you're not going to stay in a hotel because it's triple the hotel rates that it is in a small town.
Whereas in the UK, 120 miles is Bristol to London.
Right.
It's one side of the country to the other, pretty much.
Right.
Well, it's funny, Simon, where you are, you could probably live in one country and cross the border into the other one to work.
Oh, easily. Yeah, I can go to Wales.
So
Wales is 25 minutes away.
That's awesome.
I have to go across a toll bridge, and it's free to get in, and it costs you to get out.
Well, that's Wales.
which is lovely kind of thing. As a man with Welsh ancestry, it's just the way things are. Jimmy T's asked me a question in a chat. Did I ever see the Sex Pistols play live? No, I didn't. Yeah. Probably the band that got away. They were going to come and play in a club in Bristol called the Bamboo Club, and oddly, it caught fire about 2 days before they were due to play there.
That's not that suspicious. We have those kind of club fires around here too.
Club fire, yes, yeah. Although I did see the Clash. I've seen the Clash 3 times.
Nice.
I went to see them the first time they played in a venue in Bristol, and they played. I went to see them with a friend of mine called Nick Shepherd, who was in a local Bristol punk band called the Cortinas. He later joined the last incarnation of the Clash. He was in the last incarnation.
Wow.
The post Mick Jones, where they got 2 other guitar players and kind of did some, it's not the good version of the Clash, but he was in them for a couple of years doing tours and stuff in America and stuff like that. Yeah. So I went with him and met them as well. Went backstage and stuff.
That's the amazing thing. I mean, England, geographically is not a huge piece of land, but the amount of talent that came out of there is unbelievable.
Yeah. Yes, and it's one of those post-war kind of strange things. I mean, because of the Liverpool particularly, because Liverpool got, and it was basically docks. London, Liverpool, the big music scenes because they had docks, and people went to America and they bought records back and things like that. So, the Stones and stuff lived, they got records. That's how they got records back, because there's docks, obviously East London docks and Tilbury and all those places. And Liverpool as well with the Beatles, people went Liverpool to the States and stuff was one of the classic things. And they bought things back, and those things get disseminated out, and, people hear them and stuff like that. I mean, the famous story of, Keith Richards sees Mick Jagger, and he sees this kid with, Muddy Waters albums under his arm. He's like, oh, he likes what I like. Goes over and goes, where'd you get those from? Kind of thing, because it's a bit unusual. Also, badges. Do you remember that, carrying albums around as a badge of honor?
Relate in the 80s, when everyone had their denim jackets with your band patches all over, you always had the big patch on the back. So you could walk up to somebody who's got their back to you, but you can read in, basically the size of a piece of paper, their favorite band.
Motorhead.
Motorhead. All right. Hey, you like Lemmy? I like Lemmy. Let's talk.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah. We used to have, when I went to school, we used to have kind of ex-army rucksacks, over your shoulder, that kind of, and you could write the name of your favorite bands in the sort of back of your rucksack.
Okay.
Kind of, that was the way we did it. Just pens. It didn't have badges then either, I don't think. Not really. So you had to. It was like DIY. You got a ballpoint pen, and it was like little knobbles, so you could kind of a bit like a sort of miniature Lego thing. So you just drew the names of the bands in ink pen in your bag, or you carried the albums.
It was always
around.
very do-it-yourself. That's true, because unless you're local, even something you figure as a T-shirt. Because unless your local record shop also decided to get into T-shirts and posters and stuff, that was all mail order out of the back of a Hip Freighter or a Circus magazine or something like that.
Yeah.
Send off your money order and wait 6 to 8 weeks for your AC/DC T-shirt.
They used to have, I don't know if they have these in England, Simon, but they used to have these head shops in downtown Toronto. And me and my buddies, once a month, we'd go in all these shops, and they would sell, of course, the apparatus, but they would also sell, they would sell, T-shirts and posters and all this, and we would go down there. It was like a pilgrimage. Every, once a month, we'd get on the subway, we'd go down there, we'd pick up our Motley Crue posters, our Kiss magazines, or Black Sabbath T-shirts, Van Halen, whatever.
It's really interesting that when I was 14 in 1972, band T-shirts and stuff never really existed. Right. I don't remember anybody having band T-shirts. Anybody, merchandise. I don't remember going to gigs. Anybody had merchandise? Not like that. Not like 10 years later. Obviously post, kind of in a large way, kind of post-punk, because punk seemed to generate in the UK. Punk seemed to generate kind of T-shirts and and kind of
ironic.
Rock and roll gear.
So DIY and anti-establishment, and they're the ones that are selling out with merch.
Yeah. Well, they made them themselves. I hate Pink Floyd or whatever.
Well, wait a minute. I thought Gene Simmons invented merchandise.
He might have probably did. Yes, he probably did. Well, I don't remember anybody in the UK inventing it.
That's for sure.
Oh, it's a Kiss joke.
Yeah. But it is interesting. Yeah,
by the time I really was aware of music, like we'll say right around 79, 80, you already had Kiss with all their merch,
Yeah.
And it was like, well, Kiss has everything. How come no other band has any stuff? And then it was you know what it might have been also is the new wave of British heavy metal. You know, Iron Maiden with all their merch with Eddie as their mascot. Judas Priest, you know, stuff like that. That's so because I remember hanging out, you know, very young, because I had some older friends hanging out at like the arcade, you know, playing pinball, and everybody was kitted up, denim jackets with the patches, the T-shirts, you know, what have you. Some people had bandanas, you know, of a band, you know, not so much hats, because nobody really wore ball caps in the 80s.
No, that's right.
I saw a lot of Judas Priest, a lot of Iron Maiden back then, Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
See, when I went to see Zeppelin in '75. I remember
That's
no
incredible.
merchandising. No, you know, they sold a brochure, a program, I think, but not T-shirts and not kind of, as you say, not baseball caps and not kind of badges and not any of that stuff, as I remember.
I wonder if that was a changing of a generation thing, because even by 1975, it was still an old boys network that ran the record industry. All the promoters would have, you know, started out promoting big bands in the late 40s into the 50s, and, you know, say in their 20s. So then they're in their mid 40s and they're promoting Zeppelin shows in the mid 70s. You know, and until they started retiring after, say, 30 years or so, and the next generation came in and saw the marketing side of things.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think, as I say, that punk. My first memory of kind of organised T-shirts kind of thing was there was a British record label, independent record label called Stiff Records,
right?
And they brought out a series of T-shirts that said, "If it ain't stiff, it ain't worth a." I won't say that.
Right.
They're literally, you know, but they were the first. That was like one of the, and obviously a lot of punk had badges. Badges were the thing with punk. So, you know, you had badges of, you know, your favourite bands and stuff like that, you know, on your lapels and things. But pre to that, early 70s bands, no, you didn't buy any Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple merchandise in 72. It's weird that, and in 10 years, you know, as you're saying, probably Gene Simmons probably started it.
Well, and I think you got it right with the punk too, because I was just thinking how, like, punk rock, it was very, you know, they would rent out the hall. A promoter wouldn't rent, you know, it was the guy that owned a PA system would rent a hall, and it was, you know, you had your girlfriend take money at the door.
Yeah.
Because, like, we did the same thing. Hell, up until like 2 or 3 years ago, we were still doing that around here. Rent out a Kiwanis Hall or a Lions Club or some Rotary, you know, what have you. And it was all very do-it-yourself. And then on the coattails of punk, with the new wave of British heavy metal and the Sunset Strip, and you would hear like guys like Nikki Sixx would get 200 photocopies of a show flyer and paste it up and down, you know, every telephone pole. And badges, because it was DIY, and they'd sell the badges and the homemade T-shirts to get gas money to get to the next show, because they didn't have a record company funding the tour, or even a manager that was going to say, "Hey, I'm going to put up $10,000 to get you guys started."
Did they hire the places themselves, Ben? Did they actually, you know, and kind of promote the shows themselves? They hire them themselves.
I think a lot of it, especially like, you know, like you figure like the clubs on the Sunset Strip, you know, they had their marquee, but they didn't advertise because they had their clientele coming regardless. So it was, hey, if we can get 60 people to show up instead of the usual 25, we'll get booked here again and maybe get a raise. We can actually eat.
Well, it's interesting that kind of DIY ethos kind of spread out into, you know, into different areas, and people, you know, in the late 70s, you know, it was quite common. You'd hire a church hall, or you'd hire. I can remember in Bristol we had something called the Western Star Domino Club, which was indeed a domino club. You know, dominoes, the game dominoes, and it was basically a West Indian club. You know, these West Indian immigrants from had moved to Bristol, and they had a domino club, and yet they would hire it out, and local bands would put gigs on there and stuff like that. It was a lovely place, fantastic place.
Sure.
To play gigs.
Well, it's good for the places too, right? It keeps them in business when there's nothing going on. Hey, we'll rent out the hall, you know.
Well, it's like nowadays, I'm lucky if our name is up on the marquee of a place we play. Venues do zero promotion, and I'm thinking, you're paying us hundreds of dollars to play there, you know. But you look, and it's always, you know, the bands that are creating the Facebook events of playing at a local bar, or, you know, it's the bands that are doing all the promotion.
It's funny you mentioned that, Ben.
You can pull in that extra 7 or 8 people over top of the band that played there last week, so the bartender notices, right?
That's like a bar to bar thing. I find some bars will promote on their pages and they'll put up a poster, but yeah, it's an individual bar to bar thing. Some will do it, some won't.
Yeah, it's still very
old
old school.
Expect you to bring your own crowd,
music. We always made a show poster for every event.
Yeah,
and if we're playing locally, we would go into the town a few weeks in advance, drop off half a dozen posters at the venue. They can put them up around the place. Always drop them off at the local music stores or record shops because they always still have a bulletin board for bands playing, stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, back in the day, that's how you used to find musicians. You go into a record store, you go to a music shop, and you clip something on the board, and hopefully somebody give you a call if you were looking for a band or something. Yeah, that's how we used to do it. I mean, there was no internet back then, right? We used to have a little magazine, little newsprint magazine called Rumblefish here in Toronto. And if you were looking for a band, or you would put your little advertisement in there, and if you went to like a rehearsal studio or some record shops would carry it, and it's like if you were looking for people to start a band, you'd either read their ad up or look in this magazine. All before internet and all that stuff.
That and newspaper classifieds. Like I remember, we were in a computer class, and I use that term loosely because it was around 1990. And we were doing some computer programming to create a database. So we each were given a list, some of the classifieds from the Toronto Star, which is the big newspaper in Canada, and we had to put in like half a dozen classified ads, and that's what this little database was. So of course I was already into music, so I grabbed the music portion of the classifieds because I wanted to see what guitars were for sale in Toronto. And I'm going through the classified ads, and I see seeking bass player, upcoming U.S. and European tour, contact Lips at area code 416. Well, it was the band Anvil looking for a bass player.
Anvil.
Here's the band that had half a dozen records out at the time. They've already toured around the world, and yet they're still placing an ad in the classifieds looking for a bass player.
It's hilarious, isn't it? Bizarrely unbelievable.
And I remember getting up, and showing my buddy. I'm like, "Look, Anvil's looking for a bass player."
Yeah,
let's go down and audition.
Be rock stars. Let's go check it out.
Yeah. Now it's I don't know. There's a thing we have here. It's a buy and sell website. It's called Kijiji, where you can sell everything from used furniture to whatever, car tires.
Yeah.
And they'll have a section in their community, and there's a thing for musicians there. So if you're nowadays, it's really easy. You go on the website, you check it out, look at all the bands. We're looking for this, we're looking for that. I mean, the last few bands I got into was from that. It's so easy now.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because my bass player, like I'm sure it's the same in the UK, bass players are in high demand. Let's be honest, for every 100 one bass player. And so my bass player will go through those ads and answer them just to go jam to see what the competition's like as far as other bands in the area. And you'd be like, oh man, I jammed with these guys the other night and they were tremendous. You're like, oh, that's cool. And then it'd be like, well, we won't have any competition booking gigs against these guys because they need to spend another 6 months in the basement.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I must say, in Bristol, the world was a lot smaller. Everybody knew everyone else. If you went to see a local band or whatever, there would be every other band would be there, and the musicians, and hooking up with other musicians are kind of, kind of swapping around incestuous behavior. Musicians kind of, this week I'm playing with this band, but I've gone over here, and there were local record labels and all sorts of stuff that.
Well, that's really cool.
Went on. Cool. Around, who's playing, who's absent from playing, or absent from the gigs, and I get that, like somebody will give you a text and say, hey, I'm looking to put something together. And I'd say, okay, well, these 3 drummers I would say are available. These 2 bass players and
drummers,
20 guitar players, that I think would work with you.
Drummers, yeah. That kind of says it all.
Drummers, there's a rare breed. Yes, yeah.
Well, hey,
But
I remember we hired a drummer last May of last year to play a gig in August. Hey, Dan Sullivan, and we ramped him up. You know, we played the gig, and then he wanted to take like a month off after the first gig because he was renting out his house on Airbnb all the time. And so we said, okay, fine. And then literally, as soon as he said that, he got his car and left after the gig. And
never saw him again.
So who do we know? You know, and we started ramping up a new drummer within a week or two because we're like, you know what? He's not the best fit, and we're not taking a month off.
My my band, the gigging band that I'm in now, we went, I think, about a year trying to find a drummer. We auditioned, I don't know how many drummers. It was maybe a dozen of them. And it was an experience I wouldn't wish on anybody.
No.
You'd ask them to learn a couple songs, and I'll wing it, you know. And then of course it was horrible. And I mean, in the songs that we were playing, I mean, come on, like they weren't exactly complicated, and they still couldn't get through it. Or then we'd read this guy had this fantastic demo. He's played with everybody under the sun and this and that, and the guy shows up with an elaborate kit, and he was horrible. It just it was a total
horrible
education for me. Total education for me. I'm like, wow. You know, It took a long time to find a drummer. Longer to find a drummer than a singer, if you can believe that.
I believe it.
Yeah. No, I think it absolutely.
Yeah, that's where we lucked out with our current drummer. He uses a basic kit. And it's weird because most band members are trying to keep their drummers to a very basic kit. You know, sort of the Guns N' Roses syndrome, you know, with Steven Adler, how they used to hide cymbal stands and stuff to get him to pare down his kit. Whereas, you know, my drummer has got to be one of the most simple drummers. He's very much in that John Bonham realm. Just simple beats and heavy. Like, he's very heavy-handed. And I remember he came out to an open mic to jam with a buddy of mine. And unfortunately, he had to work that night, I guess. So he just showed up, played, and left. And he was halfway through his first song. And Rich and I were still looking for our first drummer at the time. And I looked at him. I said, we got to talk to him. He's our drummer. He says, why? I said, listen how simple he is. Like, it's so basic. I said, he's leaving so much room for us as guitar players. And he told me once he had joined the band, his drum teacher had noticed that. He was very simple playing. And he said, you're never going to have a problem joining a band because guitar players are egomaniacs that love to shine. And you give them so much room to shine that they will all love you.
I got no idea what you're talking about, Ben. No idea.
It's funny, isn't it, Ben? I agree with you. I went to the 70s, you know, and the kits got bigger, you know, and it was framework, scaffolding, everything, you know, like gongs and all sorts of stuff. And then I remember going to see Bruce Springsteen, and Max Weinberg had a snare drum, a bass drum, a tom, and a floor tom.
Right.
And you're like,
your basic jazz kit.
Has he lost half of it? So half of it must be lost. But no, that's all he had. I was amazed by that, you know, because it was in such a contrast to what I was used to seeing almost everybody else.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, the
local Long Queen still has a gong in the local Long. You're never going to sell that. I'm like, come on. The last guy to tour with a gong was Neil Peart. You know, and even then, I think it was just there more for show. Or, you know, like Bonham, I'm going to set it on fire at the end and hit it, you know.
Just the once.
Yeah,
see, that's a huge thing. Just, you know, you're not playing it it's not like a hi-hat, is it? Play every second.
Well, the other problem with the big...
There's no problem with touring bands out of this area. Who has a road crew who's going to fit a gong into their vehicle?
Yeah.
Has to have its own vehicle.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say, too. Like, the problem is, too, I mean, you know, if you're playing in a bar band, the stages, I mean, it's a crapshoot. Sometimes you have a stage, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you just got a small stage. I mean, you got a drummer with a big kit. Where's everybody else going to go? You know?
On the floor. Yes.
Yeah, well, the parking lot. No, we'll be playing in the parking lot, and the drummer will be inside.
Yeah. You know, you play on a gig. The stage is so small. I'm standing in front of the drum kit, you know, and they got the hole in the bass drum skin on the front, and it's pushing so much air. My calf cramped up, because it felt like it was getting punched in the calf for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
No wonder why I can't walk.
And if you happen to be unfortunate enough to be on the ride side of the drum kit, your hearing is, at the end of the night, it's brutal.
Yeah. I thought at first when Rich moved me back to stage left, I thought I was in heaven until I forgot that we play with a left-handed drummer. So I get his ride and his crash right next to me.
Ben, we played with the drummer in my old band, and he played left-handed, right? But he was right-handed and everything else. And we said to him, so why do you play left-handed, Mike? And he said, well, when I was a kid and I learned to play the drums, I set up the same way as the bloke on the telly set up. Because they said it was a mirror image, so we set up so that if the guy's bass snare drum was here, then he set it up so that it was there, even though it's a mirror image the wrong way around, and that's how he learned. It's bizarre. It's like, but did you get it was a mirror image? No, I just set it up exactly so it looked the same as this other.
Wow. Sure, odd. But then again, drummers, we're perpetually right there.
Yeah,
you got
that with a straight face. Bizarre way of just hilarious. Like, really? You just like, oh, fair enough. Good drummer, but
very funny.
We always got to make sure the drum.
Just one. We still got 27 people watching, and I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been all. Yeah.
There's not a gong and easy drummer. Nice one, American Demo. Yes. We'll be getting that then.
Irvin says good gongus. I'm not even sure if that's a word. Good gongus is not finding you'll never be able to work.
Yeah, trouble is it's minimum pay, isn't it, for minimum work? You've got to wait to the very end and go. Thank you very much. Good night.
There, the whole set, right? You're just standing there, just waiting.
Is he gonna hit that thing tonight?
Not till the very end.
Well, I always thought I wanted to do was bring, unfortunately the stages aren't big enough, and if I had more room in the vehicle, I wanted to bring out a bunch of just useless gear just to throw off the guitar players in the crowd. Bring out my double neck. Oh damn, the guy's got a double neck.
Just put it there. Yeah.
And have my Kramer with the Floyd Rose, the Les Pauls, everything, and just play a telly all night. Not even acknowledge my other gear. Just
bring out all your
crazy stuff like saxophone on stage, horns, stuff like that, and you don't even touch them.
Bring out all your combos and just stack them.
Stack them up.
Yeah. Well, I always said that I wanted to trade in because I used to play through a half stack. Ideally, I want 4 112 combos, but I hate black Tolex too. So I'm looking for all these odd amps, and then be like, you walk in, you look at my backline, you're like, wait, you hit Tom Petty's yard sale?
You stole it from John Bonamassa, yes.
Combo amp.
Yeah.
That's what he does, and he has 2 Fender Twins and 2 Dumble, kind of with 112 caps.
Mm-hmm. But then again, push that kind of stage volume, right?
As you
what
get
you're
older,
do is play over your monitors.
As you get older, you want everything smaller and compact. You don't want to bring in the big stuff, right? I used to have a PV Classic 50. I bought it in the early 90s. It had 4 10-inch speakers in it, and it was a combo.
You had the 410 version. Okay.
Oh, my God. Did that thing weigh a lot? I got rid of that thing just for the weight, not because it sounded bad. It was just, oh, my God.
I had 20 years ago, I had a high watt 100 watt and a 412 cab. But the trouble with it is, one, it weighed that, inch and a half ply. You could live in it. Never mind, carrying it was an evolution in itself. Anywhere, so you carry this bloody thing around, set up. And of course, you play in any reasonable sized pub, and you couldn't turn it above 1. Yeah. Otherwise, you would just have the back wall of the pub out. You take out the glasses and be gone. There'd be nobody in the pub because they were completely. It was just ridiculous. It was brilliant.
Well, but you say it's funny, carrying that stuff. I have bad shoulders, so it's very awkward for me to carry a 412 cab. I gigged with
It's
this.
awkward full stop, Ben.
And I can count on one hand the amount of times I carried it because my other guitar player would carry my cab to and from the venue if I gave him a beer. And the cost of a $5 beer was well worth the store back. You know,
Yeah.
so,
Especially his, yeah.
yeah.
So don't worry, I sold it and I've got a PV Delta Blues.
Beautiful.
There you go.
I've had for 21 years. Yeah, it's a proper American one as well. It's not a Chinese
Well,
one.
it's like
American.
everyone asks, like, when am I going to gig with my little B52 amp? And it's like, I probably won't because it weighs 10 more pounds than the Fender, and I'd rather carry 10 pounds less.
Yeah, no, completely. Yeah,
I've got a 50-watt Marshall head that I'm using right now, and I was joking the other day. I was playing a place, and I think I got the volume up to 0.5.
You see, my point exactly. You know, it's like, you know, you just couldn't. Yeah, it was just hilariously ridiculous, really. You know, You're not playing Wembley Stadium, Simon. Forget it. You know, get an amp that actually works in the venues you're playing in. You know, pubs and clubs and stuff. So yeah.
And the thing is, it doesn't sound good unless you turn it up. You know, so what's the point?
You know, and that terrible thing where you're there and you try to turn the volume the millimeter so that it actually comes on, but it's not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh God, that's absolutely. Fortunately, you know, PV Delta Blues 4 fine, and it's not that heavy. I mean, it's 40.
I managed to get up to 2 last night, so that was pretty loud.
What do you play it through a 112? Pepper? Do you have 112 cab?
No, I use I got a 212 cab that I put the head on top of. So, yeah.
Let's see. We've got a question here. First of all, hey JJ Collins, good to see you. Jamal asked thoughts on attenuators. I've never used one myself, but I like the idea because that would be like allow Pepper to turn up to get the saturation he wants, and then
I can hear it. Yeah, for sure.
I have no need for one. My PV Delta Blues is fine for, you know. And as I said to people, I'll buy a bigger amp the day somebody comes up and says, "Can you turn up, please?"
Yes.
Frankly, I've been paying for 30 years and nobody's ever come up and said, "Could you turn up?"
I get told to turn up, but that's only because during sound check, like Rich will do a loop on his amp, and then he walks out front, and I'm always hesitant because I know he has to hear himself vocal wise as the front man that I turn up what I think's okay, but you know, I don't know relative to the rest of the stage how loud I am. And inevitably he's like, you got to come up a bit. Okay, go down a bit. Because I'm like, oh, fine, you know. But to me, that's how you know you have a loud drummer, because you'll be playing and Rich and I are on either side of the drummer. And at some point you want to do that cool thing where you walk up and play facing each other. And I get 2/3 of the way in front of the drum kit and I don't hear myself anymore. So you're like, okay, well, I'm going to listen to Rich and play along and hope that mine sounds okay.
Mime. Basically, turn your volume off and just mime. No one will ever know. Yes.
You know, last night.
Your Delta Blues a 15-inch or 210s?
No, 15.
Nice.
115. It's really good amp. I love it as an amp. Yeah, it's got that kind of bit of extra depth and stuff. It works really well.
Last night, my other guitar player, he brought in his first time. He brought his 100-watt Katana head.
Ooh, right.
Which weighed nothing, and it looked like a toy. And his the 212 Katana, you know, cab. Yeah. And you know what? It didn't weigh anything, and it was well for the bar anyway, plenty loud. And he was able to keep up with me with the 50-watt, no problem.
Nice.
So there's another option there.
I'm always a little hesitant because I know I played with solid state and it just doesn't throw like tubes. You know, it can sound great on stage. It can sound great even 10 feet from the stage, but you walk another 30 feet out and the solid state just dies. Whereas the tubes seem to throw that extra bit.
That's why you always got to overcompensate. Like 100 watts, you know, that'll work. But yeah, you're right. If you had like a little 20 or even a 50, I don't think it would cut it.
No. Exactly. Yeah, it's almost like you have to double the wattage. Solid state.
Exactly.
But
watts.
the technology these days is amazing, isn't it? You know, as you say, you take a 100-watt transistor amp that weighs, you know, 5 pounds and kind of, you know, and it will keep up absolutely fine with, you know, with you, and it will sound great. You know, nobody's coming going, what on earth is that? You know,
Right.
You know, I think that in many ways that's the important bit, isn't it? You know, what does it sound like out the front? Can you keep up? And does it sound fine out the front? Because let's face it, the majority of punters are not going to notice, are they?
I was
teasing
them all night.
Everyone, glad you're streaming, Ben. Gives me an excuse to procrastinate on my first day back to work. So he's pulling a me. Because, you know, for those who don't know, I'm quite often watching from work on daytime broadcasts.
Yeah. Me too. If I'm working from home, yes, I quite often have it on like
I do the same thing.
Yeah.
If I got a break between classes, I'll throw on YouTube and see what's happening.
Mm-hmm. See you later, Jason Wade.
Take care, Jason.
See you, Jason.
Yeah,
keep
we'll
on dancing, brother.
In a few minutes anyhow. And once he leaves, we can talk about Jason Wade. No.
But yeah, I don't know about attenuators. You know, as I say, with the kit I've got, I don't need an attenuator. I don't think I'm, you know, quite happy to mess about. I don't need to play that round.
You get a variety of questions when you run a YouTube stream, and it's like I almost feel bad for some of the newer viewers that tune in because they'll say, "What are your opinions on, you know, the Digitech blah blah blah?" And I'm like, I run a tube amp, you know, like.
Yes, yeah. I've had my PV for 20 years. I've had my Fender Strat for 30 years. This isn't going to go well, is it?
Yeah. You know, but I try to keep up on that stuff too. And it's like, you know, like for instance, like we know Dave Byron uses a lot of that stuff. So I'll tune into him and I'll learn about it just from what he's using. And then at least if I can get a bit of info, I can say, a variety of guys use them. They seem to be pretty good. Not my bag, but they have a good rep, bad rep, whatever.
We were talking about that. We were talking about that earlier on my stream earlier today about the whole modeling and all that sort of thing. And it's, you know, at the end of the day, you're playing for a group of people that literally, I mean, in a bar environment, they just want to dance. They don't care what you're using. They don't notice. They wouldn't notice tube, not tube. As long as the song kind of sounds like it's supposed to, and they can dance and move to it, they're happy.
But then we agreed though, you have to sound good wise for yourself.
It's for us.
But you're dialed in. It's like having that, you know, glass of liquid courage. You're gonna play bolder. You're gonna play harder because you're like, man, we are picking tail right now. You know, whereas it's almost like if you're out of tune, you'll be very hesitant playing. You know, and you'll, as a result, you'll start thinking about it. So you start flubbing stuff more, and it becomes a snowball effect.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you have a good tone, you'll play better. If you have a bad tone, you'll play worse. That's what I find. And I think, like you were saying, Ben, I think most of us are like that. All the gear, the tube, the pedals, and all that, that's really for us at the end of the day.
Yeah. And I could probably go the modeling route, but I think I'm enough of a snob where I'd have to get a Kemper or a high-end Axe FX, because I hear that stuff and I get it. You know, like when you realize like all the big bands are, or most of the big bands are using that stuff, they're fully synth, you know, like Def Leppard, Metallica, and they have to reproduce the sound of their albums, and it's spot on.
Yeah.
You know, so I think, I could get away with that. And especially like even the Helix system now that has every pedal under the sun in it, so I can mix and match my MXR, my Boss, my Electro Harmonics. You can have it color coded, so you even fool the dumb guitar player with that blue stripe. I know that's my Boss too. You know, the orange stripe is my Phase 90.
Yeah.
No, I think that's true, and I think the things like Kemper and stuff like that. If you're a touring band, you go out live, you know, and you're touring nationally. You know, frankly, you take a Kemper and you take all your amps in it, and you've got them lined up with the songs you're doing, and you know,
plug in your set list and you hit next.
Plug it up, plug it in, you hit next, and you go and you do it. And I think that's, you know, I'm all for that.
And I'm sure the road crews must love that too, because you know, like you got the guy that still has to use his Klon from 1981, and you know it's held together with baling wire and a sprayer.
Yeah. Crackling and whistling away and kind of
Exactly.
God.
These are the guys that use live amplification. They got their speaker cabs in an ISO box under the stage, anyways.
Yep. Yeah.
Speaking of being snobs, because I fully admit I'm a snob as well. Do you guys, well, in the sense of guitars, anyways, do you guys ever in a music store would you ever try like a Squier or an Epiphone, or do you just always go for the main brand? Sorry about the noise, guys.
Squier, yes. Epiphone, no. Because I'm not a name snob, but I am a headstock snob.
Yeah.
And if I glance over and I see that Epiphone headstock poking out further than a Gibson headstock, I notice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't.
What about you, Simon?
I'm not a snob at all, to be honest. I don't think. I've got 4 guitars. I have the Strat I showed. I've got a Telecaster, and I've got 2 Chapman guitars. One of which I kind of got for 200 quid and kind of put some sewer pickups in it, and kind of and I take that and play it a lot. I really like it as a kind of very versatile guitar. No, I don't feel particular. I feel like this is a guitar I like, a guitar I can play. I'm happy with it. You know, if it's got the thing and I like it and it makes a connection with me, I'm happy to play it. And I don't feel as though I need. I mean, I think one of the interesting things about today. I mean, I had a Squier Strat, you know, that got stolen, but still the cheap one, not the expensive one, which is good. But no, I don't feel. I feel it's a tool. It's an instrument. You know, providing the sound of it is good and it does the job. I'm happy and I can play it. You know, it's kind of feels good in my hands and stuff. I'm happy, and I'm really pleased these days that you can buy kind of pretty, you know, cheap but good guitars. You know, they don't have to be $1,000 anymore. £1,000. You know, they can be, you know, £200 or £300, £400. You know, you can get yourself a really decent guitar. You can go out, gig with, make a decent noise. So no, I don't feel like that at all about things. There's quite a lot of things that I notice over the years I don't care about really at all. I talked about neck profiles earlier. You know, I've got a variety of different neck profiles and stuff. I pick the guitar up and I get on and play it. I don't feel as though there's any difference. Plectrums, I don't care. Whatever plectrum's available, I'll play. If it's a flicky one, it's fine, or a really, you know, solid one. Yeah, I'm just, as I say, I view it very much as being like a tool thing. So, you know, if it works properly, then I'll use it. And I don't feel as though it needs to have Gibson or whatever.
Right, well, I'm going to wrap things up here. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. If you enjoyed what you saw, please leave a thumbs up. Definitely thank you, Simon, for jumping in from across the pond. Thanks, Guitar Hack, for tuning in. That's been awesome. I think we discussed some cool stuff here. And just so you know, don't feel bad, Guitar Hack. Citizen Kane says, all good, Guitar Hack reminds me I need to mow. So the sound of the lawnmowers is an okay thing. Pretty soon we'll be hearing the sounds of snowblowers, so it's all good. So yeah, and if you're interested, and again, we're doing the YouTube Hangout at NAMM. If you want to contribute, there's a link down below. If you're interested in any Canucks with Guitars merch, like Simon's wearing, that's linked down below as well. Plus, there's a bunch of other cool channels to check out. Check them all out. That's awesome stuff. And thanks again, everyone that tuned in. So hold those doors open. Let that guy in ahead of you in traffic. Do good things, and good things will happen to you. Everyone have a great day. Rock on, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. What is left of it, depending on where you're tuning in from. Rock on.